What's up, everybody? You're back in here, Pro Football Pod. We hope you had a great Memorial Day weekend. We're hitting you with some more season previews today. AFC East is what we're working on. We've got the New England Patriots coming up for you in this video. Be sure to check in all the other ones. If you like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell. You'll find out when they drop. You've got Hulk. You've got Coach down here hanging out. How was the beach trip?
It was
Solid
great.
beach trip.
Caught a bunch of fish. Had a great time. Ate some ice cream. Watched the sunrise.
You had me an ice cream.
There you go.
Yeah. Had me an ice cream.
I caught the biggest flounder I've ever caught, which was awesome. But I wanted to mention something that I read over the weekend, that the Patriots are the only team in the league that are not favorites in any game that they're playing this season. Like, FanDuel has them as the underdog in all 17 games.
There's no way that's true for the Patriots and not for the Panthers too, though, right?
So the Panthers aren't projected to win much, but I'm pretty sure that they are still at least projected to win one game.
I'm pretty sure if you pull up like FanDuel win totals, I want to say the Panthers are the lowest at 4.5.
Well, the Pats are 4.5 as well. So, I mean, It's right around the same. But, man, like, to be projected to be the underdog in every single game, I think that people are really undervaluing this team. Do we think Jacoby Brissett starts at least the first, 4 to 6 weeks? Like, there's no way they're just going to throw Drake May, and they don't need to. They have the veteran guy.
Well, I say for sure, and before we dive too far deep into this, we're doing a jersey giveaway at 500 subscribers. Tell your family, tell your friends, just get those subs up for us because we're wanting to give a jersey away. We might even give 2 jerseys away if you were feeling froggy. So just do it for us, do it for the homies. Now, the Jacoby Brissett thing is interesting because I think talent-wise, Drake May is clearly going to be the more talented of the two.
Absolutely.
However, I think they're pretty dead set on Drake May sitting and learning. Like, Gerard Mayo has been in the Patriots system. Yes, he's a first-time head coach, but he's been there. He played there. He knows how things were ran as far as with Brady and Bledsoe. Like, he's seen it with the value of having a veteran quarterback. He's also seen it across the league. But then again, the Patriots start out 0-4, 0-5. Like, they're clamoring for him. So, I mean, let me get their schedule pulled up here. So they don't have their bye week till week 14. And I definitely, looking at their schedule, at Cincinnati, Seattle, at Jets, at San Francisco, at home versus Miami, home versus Houston. Week 7, they're home versus Jacksonville, home versus the Jets. Like, I think somewhere in that week 6 to 9 range is when you start seeing the Drake May start popping up. They've got a tough schedule.
They also have a very underwhelming roster. They added Antonio Gibson, Austin Hooper. They added the tight end from Tennessee, right? Is that who that is?
Which tight end? Jaheim Bell. Jaheim Bell. No, he was Florida State.
Okay. The Okorafor. That's not the same guy. He's got a really funny name, but that's not the same guy from Tennessee. Don't they still have him? The Tennessee tight end that's like kind of...
Oh, Okonkwo.
Okonkwo. Yeah. Okay, so different guy. But they added Jacoby Brissett. They added KJ Osborne. Like, they didn't add a lot of, they didn't add any high-end talent. They added a bunch of guys that are, looking for their second shot. And maybe one of them turns into something like KJ or Antonio Gibson. But Ramondre Stevenson is still their best running back. He had a little bit of an undervalued year, but he dealt with some injuries last year. He was still one of my favorite running backs to have before the draft started. And he kind of worked right around his draft stock instead of, way underutilizing it. Whereas, Rachaad White went above his draft stock, and they were drafted, in the same round. So, that's all the hate that he gets from last season. I
A lot of injuries and stuff he dealt with
exactly,
last year too.
exactly. But losing Devontae Parker doesn't really hurt them that much. Like I think that they got a little bit younger. Adding Jalen Polk, adding Javon Baker, adding Drake May.
That's my thing is I do think they got better.
Yeah,
They got younger in the coaching staff. They didn't lose anybody of significant value,
like if
and
they
they
lost
only
Ramondre,
gained some key role players. Like they realize, especially with this rookie quarterback, like they realize we're looking at 3, 4, 5, 6 years here of like a solid rebuild. They see what they're dealing with in the AFC East. You've got a couple years of Rodgers to deal with. Tua, if the Dolphins figure out that contract and re-sign him, you know you've got at least 4 to 6 more years of dealing with Tua, who you haven't been able to beat to this point. And you've still got Josh Allen, who's just been dominating the league since Tom Brady left it. So, I mean, yeah, I understand the slow build with it, but also I like what they did. Like you said, they didn't bring in anybody, but I also think they're smart holding on to that cap a little bit until they can figure out what kind of quarterback Drake May is for them and what kind of pieces they need to put around him versus just, hey, here's Stephon Diggs. He's a good receiver, figure it out.
yeah,
When in
exactly.
reality, like it might not necessarily mesh that way. So,
The
and
Drake.
I love that they drafted 2 wide receivers to come in with them
Mm-hmm.
because I loved both of those guys coming in the draft. I love Jalen Polk and I really like Javon Baker. Jalen Polk's going to give them 3 down ability with his blocking ability as a wide receiver that was raved about all off season and all draft season for him. And I know it was kind of a hot take, but we saw Washington do it years past with RG3 and Kirk Cousins. But them taking Joe Milton just purely with the talent that he has with his arm, if you're able to get him figured out and not necessarily take over or be the insurance plan for Drake May, but if anything, give you return on your investment and somebody else picks him up because they're like, hey, I like his game. I like what he was able to show in the preseason and a couple spot starts. Let me give him a chance.
Exactly. I think the other thing, Drake May has been comped to Josh Allen over and over and over again, and it's took Josh Allen 2 or 3 seasons to like actually figure it out and stop making big time mistakes and throwing the ball away. It's
And that's the thing is their skills and play style are very similar. Like it's one of those big white boy that can run and has a rocket arm. Yeah, he's Josh Allen. Like I get that, but like no, like you just said there, like he takes risks and you saw that often. Now, North Carolina, you wonder how much was it he had to take those risks because he
agreed.
wasn't playing with necessarily elite talent.
Which is going to be what he's is going to look like this season. I think that
Or
his
what Josh
ability,
Allen was able to do when he
yeah,
got elite talent around him.
mm-hmm.
And, everybody now points to that 3rd year jump because of the Josh Allen effect.
Yeah,
And I mean, shit, dude, we saw Tua do it in his 3rd year, first year with Mike McDaniel. Like, I mean,
totally
it
different.
happens. Like, you expect to see that jump. When you do see that jump, it's like, all right, we might have something here. So, no, we'll get into that later on the Dolphins episode. Stay tuned for that. But looking down here, just get into some ADPs here for the fantasy peeps and a half point PPR. Drake May right now is going as the number 31 quarterback, number 182 overall. I think Jacoby's going as like the number 35 quarterback, so like not far behind him, but you can kind of tell, and we'll get into it with this roster. Nobody really knows anything with this Patriots roster and what to expect fantasy wise.
I
You've got
think
Ramondre. Oh, go ahead.
if you're in a dynasty superflex, third pick is going to be Marvin Harrison. Fourth pick is going to be Malik Neighbors. Almost every single time. I think if you're picking in those middle picks, that you're actually going to get really lucky with the way Drake May is going to fall to you, because I think that he's absolutely the third most talented quarterback, and there's all these
Mhm.
super high skill position guys that in a
Even
super
for fantasy purposes, he's third because
yeah,
Caleb and Jaden Daniels both give you the rushing ability, which
exactly.
Drake May does as well. And then there's kind of a fall off. Like Bo Nix and JJ have that rushing ability, but it's more of the Brock Purdy style of they might get you 27 yards rushing in a game, and you're
Exactly.
pumped for that.
Now, we were just talking about Stevenson, though. I think that that might be my value pick again this year. They're not going to be. So the receivers could potentially be better because they're going to be down in most of their games. Like they're not projected to win a single game. They're given points on every game by FanDuel.
And let's get into that. So Stevenson, like you mentioned, number 19 running back, number 65 overall, going about the sixth
Sixth
round. I
round.
love that value as your
Sixth
possible
round.
RB2, maybe even your RB3 or
Yeah.
top flex guy. Like Gibson, Antonio Gibson, they just brought him in, going at number 150 overall. Jalen Polk getting into these wide receivers because it is a close mixed bag. Polk is number 187 overall. Demario Douglas is 194 overall. Javon Baker is number 208 overall. Kendrick Bourne is number 226 overall. And they also brought in KJ Osborne this offseason as well.
Yeah.
Not to mention, Juju Smith Schuster is still on this roster. Like, so nobody truly knows. And that's why people are buying into these younger guys. Like, I like what Demario Douglas put on the field last year. Like he was great for me as far as prop betting for fantasy because the books just could not catch on to him and he was money for 40 yards every single week. Things like that. But I mean, Polk, Baker, Douglas, those all even
And
Kendrick Bourne,
Bourne. Bourne had
all
some
four of
games
those
last
are
year.
really young wide receivers to work with. So that's a matter of me where they're going. Like 18th round, 19th, 20th, 22nd, like every single one of those wide receivers has value to me, all of them,
Agreed. We talk
because
about
anybody has the chance to step up.
and we talk about garbage time a lot. Like these guys are going to be having to throw the ball 30 times a game to be able to come back in the third and fourth quarter to even have a shot. And yeah, May's probably going to throw a couple of fourth quarter interceptions and they're going to kill drives, but he's not going to throw 30 interceptions. And they're going to go with, like we said earlier, they're probably going to go with Jacoby. Jacoby's going to
Mhm.
play it safe. He's going to work the ball around. I think that the fact that most of these guys are undrafted in standard half PPR leagues is silly. Number one wide receiver on the team is going to have some value. They're going to get 6 to 8 targets a game. And if they're getting enough target share, if they can take a step in their game between Bourne and Demario Douglas, I think those are the two more interesting.
And
It's
I
hilarious that
think
Polk is the
once we
highest
go through
drafted.
once we go through preseason, I think we'll start to see those start to shift a little bit
Yes.
once you get an idea of reports coming out of camp of who's been lining up at the one, at the two, who's just running with the
Who's
first team
on
in
the field
general.
80% of the time.
Exactly. And then, so I do want to touch on this because one of our mottos is rookie quarterbacks love their tight ends.
And
Now,
Hunter Henry.
he might not start for a few weeks, but Hunter Henry right now going in the 16th round is the number 18 tight end overall. I'm absolutely looking at him as a tight end too on my squad.
Yes.
Like, if anything, I do think he is more touchdown dependent, boom or bust,
Right
which is why
now,
he is going so low.
but he
But
doesn't have the
once Drake
competition that he
May
had
gets
last
in
year.
there and you're needing to pick up those first downs and you see Hunter Henry's big ass just kind of sitting there in the middle, it's hard to pass that up,
We
especially when a lot of these wide receivers have the build of shifty speed guys. I'm really interested to see how they build this offense post Bill Belichick.
we talk all the time about tight ends and how they take a long time to develop. Hunter Henry's had competition the last 2 or 3 seasons between Mike Gesicki last year, the year before
Jonnu Smith.
they signed Jonnu Smith like the same day that they signed him. If
Yeah,
for
that was
less or
wild.
more money, but like that doesn't matter, and he was still
And
getting the
Hunter
target
Henry was
share.
a baller in
In
with the
The
Chargers.
Chargers, dude, so good.
And
So
his whole problem then was he couldn't really stay on the field.
which
And
he
then so
has for the most part. He's definitely had injuries, but again, it's your tight end too. Like if I get one of the top four or top five, maybe I'm probably not really prioritizing Hunter Henry. I'm going to look other places in the 16th round. But if
Now,
I'm
I do
getting
think it says a lot that they did re-sign him this offseason
yes,
with the new coaching staff coming in and everything like that. Now, Bill O'Brien is still
GM.
uh, well, not their GM, but their OC,
Yeah,
I
yeah, that's my
believe.
bad. Yeah, yeah.
So there is that relationship there to where he's been there with them now for a couple years. So I do understand that re-signing, but to me, when a new head coach comes in, that says a lot if they re-sign the in-home talent.
Yeah.
So I think they envision him as part of this. Jacoby Brissett, like you said, he's a veteran quarterback. He knows the value of having a safety net at tight end. Now, to wrap it up here, looking over at their defensive side, I think corner is probably their weakest spot in my opinion, as crazy it is to say, because I know Christian Gonzalez was a baller as a rookie last year. Jonathan Jones has been really good the last couple years, and they've got Marcus Jones as well. Just Jones is everywhere. Their defense, to me, though, it's one of those where the Patriots defense is kind of like the Steelers, like they're always solid,
Yeah.
but there's really nobody on this defense outside of Matthew Judon just turning it on and Kyle Duggar just being a thorn in your side.
Now,
There's really nobody on this defense that utterly just terrifies me. Christian Gonzalez, I think, has the potential to be.
this is the first season without Bill Belichick in 24, 25 years. That's going to be a big difference, I think. We've always talked about Bill's second half adjustments and how they're always in every game and all these things. Now, Gerard Mayo was literally primed by Bill Belichick for like the last 3 or 4 seasons. He played with the guy, so he knows him and his system in and out, and he knows the way he thinks. And I think that Gerard Mayo was a phenomenal pickup for them as far as their head coach signing. I still think their over under on wins being 4.5. I would go under. I don't know if they're winning a lot of games. They're probably going to keep most of their games close, which is why I really like Ramondre Stevenson as the 19th running back off the board at 65 overall, because I think he's going to get a decent amount of touchdowns. I think he's going to get the opportunities to score. They're not going to be able to throw the ball into tight windows in the red zone. But if they get within the 20, he's a breakaway speed receiving threat that is kind of scary. And to get him in the 6th round is ridiculous. If he stays healthy all year and you get 17 games out of him, he'll have better than RB19 value.
Yeah. So with it, their over under being 4.5. I know they went 4-13 last year, but last year to me was just an abysmal season. And like I said, I do feel like they got better as a team. So everything that I've said to this point tells me I have to go over. And I do lean the over on that 4.5. I can see a scenario where they squeak out 5 to 6 wins in certain places. I mean, you look at Tennessee, Chicago, they can maybe steal one from the Jets or Miami or the Bills. Divisional games are always fluky. The Rams are on there depending on who's healthy at that point in week 11. The Colts, the Cardinals, like I do see some possible wins, especially when you consider when Drake May takes over and what kind of spark that might give the team. They could always steal a game or two with him as well, because you're not really going to have much film on him, and it's just a rookie going out there and trying to make plays. So I'm going to go the over there on the 4.5. I think that's really low. I mean, I understand it, but I'm convicted in the over 4.5.
I mean, I
Not
hear
much.
you. It's any given
Like I
Sunday.
said, five or six, but like I think they're going to be picking in the top 5 or 10 again next year. But yeah,
Definitely.
right now we're going to go over. I appreciate you guys hanging out with us. We love you. 500 subscribers, we're giving away a jersey. TulsyRoseTea.com. Subscribe, hit that notification bell. Check all the other AFC East videos for you. We love you guys. Peace out. Outro music. Outro music. Outro music. Outro.